with your fist to make it work.
No, I had to move the mouse. All right, that looked better. All right, everybody, we just thought we would bring up our puppies because you hadn't seen them in a while.
And the babies.
Okay.
Are we up? Are we moving?
And
great
my microphone's
Oz.
not working. All right, I'm going to bring you up to talk because I'm having problems. So you go ahead and talk to the nice folks.
Hi, everybody.
Yes, we're up.
Welcome to we're up. We are live. Welcome to the BA Zone's live pre-show. We've only got about 2 minutes before we get set up. Kathleen is working on her mic. And tonight we're going to be talking about, core skills that a business analyst needs, and ones that you can almost start working on right now. A lot of them, some of them are soft skills, some of them are the more hard skills, but that's what we're going to be talking about. So feel free to drop us any comments during the show, or if you have anything you want to talk about, just let us know. You can find us everywhere on the web, obviously, and we'll get into that when we go live. But just checking out, see how everyone is doing. Hopefully everybody's having a great week. They're having a great time in Thailand, got all those kids out of those caves, thank God. So except for the one fatality, that's good news. You would never catch me going into a cave. You can hardly ever catch me going into an elevator. But that was something pretty. I can't imagine, if you have kids and they disappear and they're in a cave somewhere for 2 weeks. Good Lord. But we're having a good time here. Weather is extremely hot, and the traffic is extremely heavy. But that's pretty much everywhere today. And let's see what else is going on. The pups, Kathleen brought up the puppies. They're really not puppies anymore. They're senior citizens. Well, Tink is more of a senior citizen. He's 12 and a half. That Tink's over on the right, the little blonde guy. But he's happier in a way because he can't see anything anymore. So he's not afraid of anything anymore. He just sort of goes, okay, just hanging out kind of thing. But he's been down the shore. He's on vacation. I am not, but he is. So we're going to get started. We're going to get going. Oh, and it is 8 o'clock already. Kathleen, have you got your mic issue fixed? Come up on the screen and give us a hi sign, a yay or a nay. Oh, I hear sound.
Well, we'll see. We'll give this a try. I think so.
I hear you.
It's all. Well, no, the problem is I was hearing 6 of all of us, so that was a little much.
It was the bumblebee factor.
Echo is one thing, but wow, 6 times that was too much. I do want to say hi to John033 over on Periscope. Thanks so much for coming by. Feel free to comment if you have any, or throw us hearts or what have you, because it looks like the comments are working. Hey. It's the little things. You got to enjoy all the little things.
That's right. That's right. So we should probably get started.
We should probably do an official show open here.
We should.
Okay.
We tend to skip them sometimes.
I know. We get caught up in our own chatter.
We pretty much do.
Hi, welcome. You are here at the BA Zone Live, and we are very, very happy to have you here. My name is Kathleen Sinnott, and my co-host will introduce herself.
I'm Marianne Morrison. We switch back and forth. I'm Marianne Morrison. Yay! And together we make up the BA Zone. And we're here for all things business analysts. And actually, a lot of our stuff transcends to other business.
This is true.
Feel free to hang around if you're not a business analyst, because we do give a lot of great business information out as well, too. And you can find us just about everywhere. You can always go to thebazone.com. That's our official website. You can catch some of our stuff on there and drop us comments or suggestions. And if you like the show, tag a friend, send it out to your relatives, the guy that's on the couch that you want to get a job, anywhere. And we'd be happy to have you. And you can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, Facebook, and YouTube. And tonight's show is going to be about the core skills, core business analyst skills. Is that the title? Probably not, but that's what we're going to be talking about.
what was it? Okay, it was, wait, we hadn't done, okay, it was the
She'll
top
give us the
5
official name.
business analyst skills you'll use on every project.
Yay! Some of them soft, some of them hard, some of them hardcore. Do we have any other business to discuss before we get right into it? Did I miss anything?
Let's see, no, you told the nice people where to find us. I invite you to follow, like, heart, turn on notifications if you're finding this content helpful. Because that way you will get notified about when we go live. We do our show every Tuesday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. But we've been known to jump on just because we feel like it, and particularly me, because I'll be sitting here playing with things and want to try something or just feel like chatting. So if you do all those things and turn on the notifications, then you'll know when we swing on by. But you can always find us here on Tuesday nights. I think that covers it.
And we do this for you, so if you guys have any ideas for shows, anything you want to discuss, please feel free to drop us a line. Okay, shall we get into it? And how are we going to do this tonight? Are we going to go one for one, or are we just going to...
Oh, we'll
Who's
just
leading
wing
this
it.
evening?
We'll just wing it.
Okay, so let's begin with the number one. Well, it's not in any type of order, actually.
Nope.
But one of the number one skills that you will use on any project. And the first one would be modeling. So what do we mean by modeling? So it's basically a picture, a visual of information. And, we always say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and it truly is. And especially when you're trying to get at the crux of an issue, it helps to put it up on a screen, on a whiteboard, draw it out. And it makes it much clearer. But a lot of people are very visual. Almost all of us are, I think. And, a step by step. And some of those things that fall under modeling, and if you're a BA, you've heard of them before. And if not, there's plenty of those navigation maps. They'll help you sort of maneuver through a website and give you visuals for that. And Kathleen can expound on these more. I use them, but process flows, data data models, and Kathleen fell off her chair. No, I'm just kidding.
I just scared the puppy. He was sleeping. I'm sorry, Murph. Like he isn't jumpy enough.
Fell off the desk.
Poor guy.
Well, his teeth fell right off the thing. Data flow, a data model, or sometimes you might use like a business domain model, which sort of looks like a data model, and but it helps you lay out certain groups of information better for people to see. There's mind mapping that we use, Kathleen and I use, and brainstorming mind maps a lot. Use case diagrams, wireframes, which we're both a big fan of. I'm doing that now. And they don't have to be, some of these, when we talk about all of these diagrams and things, they don't have to be that formal. Kathleen said it many times, we've done work on a napkin in a restaurant or a bar when we're all sitting around. So it doesn't have to be a formal drawing. They're great to get that information across, but any kind of visual, even, a little prototype, any type of little thing that gets people to understand a concept or think a little differently about something. That's the real gift of modeling. And there's plenty of different ones out there. There's tons of them. But again, you could just draw stick figures and actually have an impact. Wouldn't you agree with that, Kath?
Absolutely. And I'm not looking at the camera because I'm trying to bring up, but of course I can't find it quickly. But I was going to show these incredibly rough ones that we had just done in a meeting the other day, because it was one of those cases that I talk about a lot, where you're in a room with a lot of people, been in there a couple hours, people are a little foggy, they need to use the restroom, they're hungry, and I could tell that people were agreeing and saying that, but they did not all have the same picture in their head. So I'm going to look one more time here. Of course, I'm not going to find them, and as soon as the show is over, I'm going to find them. But we literally just grabbed a piece of scrap paper and just started drawing things out, because I wanted to make sure everybody had the same picture in their head, because it was a situation where we had people on site that aren't normally there. They usually work remote, which, we're both big fans of. We have no problem. We think remote working is an awesome thing. We work with teams all over the world. But when you do have them all in the same room, it's an opportunity you want to maximize. So I can't believe it. Murphy's Law. No offense, Murphy, but boy, this is typical, right? So this was, oh, here, see, I win. I found them. Okay. So let me just bring up one.
So competitive.
Hey, you know,
with
sometimes you have
yourself.
to teach your technologies who's boss. So I'm just going to show you. I mean, it's
slap it around.
you're going to look at this and you're going to go, oh my God, what a horror show. And you're right. But this is what we're talking about. It was rough. It was scattered to the four winds. There were scribbles. There were lines drawn and crossed out. But this is how we got to the point of everybody really having the same idea in their head. This is worth its weight in gold. So don't ever, you know, I hear a lot of people, oh, I can't draw. I'm embarrassed. I don't want to do it. This is not going to hang in the Louvre. I mean, this is just scribbles, but it was scribbles that communicated. And then the key was, after the meeting, I immediately went down and I created a clean version of it, and I sent it out to everybody. Because when you do it this way, the one downside is if you don't quickly turn it into something more clean and structured, even if it's just, I mean, we're talking line drawings. You open up Visio, you pull out a box, you draw lines. You don't have to draw anymore with your hands. You just pull the boxes and put text in them. But by doing that right afterwards, you remember all the conversation, why that line was drawn and taken out, so you make sure that you put that note in so that later on we don't loop back and try to do it again since we already solved the problem. But this is what I mean. This is exactly what we're talking about. It was ugly, it was messy, but everybody understood what we were doing. I sent out the thing afterwards. We made one change, and that was it. This is what we're now working off of. This is the plan going forward for this little project we're working on. So, for what it's worth, I brought it up because it was so messy. I wanted to let you know that we're not kidding when we say messy.
No, absolutely not. And actually, I'm working on a project too, and right now we're going through process flows, and we're using swim lanes. And for anybody who's not aware, swim lanes literally look like an Olympic pool. You know how they have those floats and along the lines, and
Yep.
each row is a different role. And when you plot out a particular process of who does what and how that information flows back and forth, and you put those people in a room, all of a sudden they go, oh my God, I don't do that. This group does that. And then there's a whole bunch of other things because they can visually see it. Words work for some things, but when you can see those words along some type of a logical flow, it makes all the difference in the world when you're working on a project.
Yep.
And, you know, even if you're doing a comparison of two different things, you put it up over here, you put it up over here, and all of a sudden people go, oh, well, let's create this third thing. So really, if you focus on your modeling essential skill that you're going to use over and over again, and you'll use it not only in business, we use it all the time for, if, say you were laying out a wedding party, God forbid, and you wanted to say who's sitting next to who. I mean, you know, these are life skills that you can use as well. And look, Kathleen is showing all of the various diagrams that you can go in. You can just look up on, you know, go to Google or wherever you know, search engine.
Yeah, I said swiveling diagram. But again, the reason I brought this up is because there's not one way to do it. Other than, you know, you see the lines, because that's the swim lanes, but even some are vertical, some are horizontal, so whatever works for you, works for you. But this is the kind of thing that, you know, when people see it, even if it's not in an orientation they're used to seeing, they will understand it because it is, as you can tell, very popular. There's hundreds of thousands of examples floating around out there.
And these diagrams look complicated, but they're really not. They're step one to step two, or, you know, compare this to compare that. They're just prettier, you know, it's just a prettier way of doing it.
Well, and it's also more structured, you know, and it's the kind of thing that you're going to start to do, and then you're going to have to go in and make changes as things come, which is why you don't want to do it on paper forever if you can avoid it, because it's a lot easier to change the electronic version around. But Mayor's right, you know, they may look, the finished product often looks, you know, very overwhelming to people, but when you start to go, okay, well, no, you start here, you know, and you walk through, and then they're like, oh, okay, and then here's, oh, okay, so this is where it branches, okay, now, and then they kind of get to, I only mention that because some people have never seen them. Some people worked on projects for years and never worked with any of this type of documentation. Don't let that hold you back. Just because they haven't done it doesn't mean they shouldn't. Not that that happened to me this week. No, that didn't happen to me at all yesterday.
Jeez. There we go.
New team, got to break them in.
Just make sure that when you're doing these type of diagrams that you always include a key. So if there's something like a particular shape that you use that means a particular thing, just let people know that, because then when they look back after you send it out after a meeting or whatever, they go, oh, that's right, I remember that type of thing. So don't forget the key.
Yep.
Okay. Do we want to take a break here before we go to the next one? No, we'll do
one more, then we'll take a break.
Okay.
So next up on our top 5 is being a good listener. Now, most people think that means just not talking while the other person's talking, and that is certainly an important part of it, don't get me wrong. But being a good listener is about actively hearing what they are saying and making sure that you understand what they're saying and that you are not hearing what you want to hear, but what they're actually saying, because these can be very different things. So you want to make sure that you are listening, that you are absorbing the information. Take notes, definitely, but don't let the notes distract you from what's being said or the conversation that's going on or discussion that's going on. Some people get so wrapped up in their notes that they miss the next 5 minutes of conversation. So you've got to find whatever works for you. Maybe just writing down words or pictures that are going to mean something to you later after the meeting, because it's way more important that you are engaged and focused during the conversation than having, beautifully detailed notes right away. You can always fill in those gaps later after the meeting. Excuse me 1 second. I'm going to have a little coughing.
Sure. And as Kathleen was saying, it is a conversation. Actively listening is not just being silent, as she said. It is being a part of conversation. It's knowing when to stop talking and when to put out a really good question to get it going again. And please don't jump in and try to solve the problem right away. A lot of people will hear a couple of words and right away they'll start going, oh, you mean this? And oh, I think we can do this. Don't restrain yourself. I know it's hard because we like to solve problems, but you really need to restrain yourself and count to 3 and make sure someone's actually finished saying what they're saying, because there's nothing worse than being interrupted like that when you have a train of thought, because I lose my train of thoughts on a regular basis. So you got to let me finish a sentence before you jump in.
And you also want to listen for those little subtle clues. Now, if you're in the same room with the person, you can do it, even from body language. Even if you're not in the same room, you can do it off of tone. You also want to keep an ear out for what maybe isn't being said or why they're saying something. Sometimes there's a deeper meaning that you can pick from either the way they're saying things or the way they're not saying certain things. And you want to make sure you take that into account, but don't assume that you're right. Make sure you verify it gently if it needs to be done gently. But you want to make sure that you're not just taking the words, but you're really getting all the deeper levels of intent. Because a lot of times that's where the real need or requirement is going to come from. I think that covers everything, right?
It does. The only other thing that I would add is just trying to listen actively and have a positive attitude. I mean, your job is there to help them understand what is in their mind. Sometimes you're trying to clarify their thoughts. So you want to do it like in a positive way and not that rapid fire questions when you're listening. So it's sort of like helping them. You're trying to help them. So, just make sure that you're doing it in a positive way, not in and a lot of that comes from tone and the way you talk when you're just asking those questions and how you're listening. So, just have those positive responses occasionally. Again, refrain, let them talk.
Yes, don't cut them off.
Now I'll let you talk.
See, there we go. Yeah, we talk over each other all the time, but that's different because we're not collecting requirements here. We're just chatting. That's right. Okay, so this is a good time for a break. We just want to remind you that you can always catch us at thebazone.com if you would like to join our mailing list so that you get the inside information with those our insiders. We always tell everybody on the mailing list what's happening before we tell the rest of the world because, hey, they took the time to sign up. They should get something for that. So that would be thebazone.com/mailing list. You can totally rest assured we are not selling it. It's not going anywhere. The only reason we are collecting your email address is so that we can send you emails and let you know what's happening. You can also go to the website if you have any questions, comments, if you want us to cover a particular topic. There's a contact form there. You can just go ahead and fill that out and we will be more than happy to cover it. If you are in a situation where you need an answer fast and you can't wait for the next show, just let us know that and we will be more than happy to get back to you. We're all about helping each other and we understand deadlines.
We are a community and we do get back and we do have actually people calling in often, so feel free to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure, so if they're out there right now, they can jump into the comments and tell you that we're not scary.
No, not at all. There you go. Okay, so let's see, we're up to number 3, right?
Yeah.
So research to understand the facts. So we do a lot of research as business analysts. We're constantly researching. We're researching on the internet. We're researching tools. We're researching in between departments in companies that we're working in. The one thing that I will say about research is you have to be careful when you're researching that you're not researching to affirm your opinion, which happens a lot.
A lot.
People a lot, and people do this everywhere. It's not just business.
It's human
analysis.
nature.
It's like, it's human nature. Let me just go and confirm. Oh, I was right. Okay, so I'm going to spit this out. I mean,
I'm
that's
ignoring
not
everything else except the thing that confirms my idea.
That's right. That's right. Try not to do that, and it does happen quite often. But we do a tremendous amount of research, and you can get that information. And we've talked about this before. You can look through procedure manuals in the company that you're working in. You can look through previous documentation if there is any, which we find more often than not there is not documentation. But again, use the internet. Use a friend, call a friend, if you have, or call us. We'll help
Sure.
give you some of those research answers as well. So it's a skill you want to work at, but again, make sure you're not putting in your own opinion at that. And I'm sure you have other fine things to say.
Yeah, so there is this concept of just enough research, though. So some people want to turn the job into nothing but research, and then the project never moves forward. So you need to be able to tell, when you've got the information that you need, go a little bit beyond that just to verify that you've got the right thing. But then, don't let it turn into a lifelong quest, because at some point you do have to say, okay, this is what we've got, this is what we're going to work with, and move forward. And there's some really good information out there about, figuring out, where that line is if you're not quite good at it yet yourself. In particular, this is one, and I think actually the title of it is Just Enough Research, from one of my favorite sites. Let's see. It's called A Book Apart. They've got all kinds of great material out there, and it's like reasonably sized. Like most of them are like 200 pages, and they just provide you the information that you need. Come on, show me the shop.
Right. And I find that when I'm doing research, one little tip that I do, you don't have to do this, but once you start hitting redundant data, the things keep coming up over and over again, you kind of know, okay, that's enough. I've done enough research. Because you're right, you can be down in those weeds because it's fun. If you like research, you can be down in those weeds forever.
It is fun.
And it is fun. I love research. Kathleen loves research. But it's true. You have to know when to stop. Just stop.
See, like right now, I can't stop myself. I'm just, because I can't remember.
She's right. She's just
I think that's the time. Yeah, I was right. Hey, see, again, now that's two. Okay, I admit it. I need some wins today. So it is called Just Enough Research. And it is, what do they sell it for? $21 if you want the paperback, $11 if you want the ebook. And it's really good. I've had a couple of people that I've worked with that I was mentoring use it. Does it say how many pages it is? I think it's under 200 pages, and it's 154 pages. And it just gives you a real good, overview of how to do research and do all these things we just talked about. Make sure that you're looking for the real answer, not your answer, and where to stop. So if you need help with that, I highly recommend that resource. It's proven. Okay,
it's
and
proven.
I don't need to have that one up anymore. We can bring us up. Hello, we're back.
We are back. Okay, so I think we're good on that research.
Yep.
The fourth one, documentation and writing skills. We're both very big on this. You have to be able to convey messages well in order to have a great product or a great process at the end. We can just go through a couple of things like that I always look for in documentation and writing. A lot of people will write too much. There is too much. It's too lengthy. They're using too many adjectives, and we do avoid those adjectives. And Kathleen can go over that in a minute. But the thing is to take if you have a paragraph, a huge paragraph. First of all, cut it in half. Try to rewrite it. Cut it in half. Try to keep sentences to like 7 words. Don't go on and on and on, because people lose interest. And then we can tell you from emails that we've sent out, people will lose interest within a few sentences. Bullet where you can, keep it short, keep it tight and concise. and make sure you're using the correct, wherever you live, the correct language type of thing, and the correct grammar. And I know, Kathleen, you can talk about some of the words, and I have it here, but I know you busted gut to talk about it. So go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to hit on the one because it's the one that most people, when they're uncomfortable about their writing skills, tend to fall into, and that is the look at me showing off thing. Don't go for the $50 word when the 5-cent word will do. You're not trying to impress anybody with it. You're trying to communicate, and it is far more important that you are clear and you are precise than to use some fancy word so everybody's impressed. Because frankly, they won't be. All they'll be is maybe confused or bored, or they'll just walk away. So that for me is the big one. If you don't do anything else, just make sure that you are writing in a language that everybody can understand, that is to the point, and doesn't use I only have a little window here. This window, this size word, when this size word will do.
Right. So the perfect word she's saying there is use. Don't say utilize when use will do. You know what I mean? It's just that simple. It's like, just keep it short, tight, and concise. Another thing around the using adjectives, a lot of times people, and you have to be very concise when you're talking about documentation. So you can't say, well, often, or likely, or sometimes. You really want to take those sort of adjectives and really create, okay, is this a date? Is it a data point? Is it a date? Is it a calendar date, or is it a quantity? Don't say often or several if an actual quantity will do. 1, 2, 3, 4. What I mean, because people misinterpret those type of adjectives. So you want to not use those as often as possible. There we go. There's one right there. Don't use them as often. Don't do that. And
see, she did that to give you the example in real life.
It's an example. Not that I've been working like 16 hours and I'm just like dumb as a doorknob right now, but yeah, it's those adjectives. Don't use, all those, the adjectives when you can be concise. Don't do that.
Yeah. And if you are not comfortable with your skills, the nice thing about this, and frankly all of these skills that we are talking about, is the fact that they are highly learnable. So you can go and just do a search for ways to improve your...
biting a man's head.
It says underneath that writing doesn't have to be this painful. So I thought that was a good caption.
Ouch.
But they all cover pretty much the same thing. But, you can go and get it. They reference good things like Grammar Girl, the elements of style, brush up on the basics. Again, don't feel like you have to, know the, what was it, the AP style guide inside and out. As long as you know where to use a comma, where to put a period, where to capitalize, write a lot. The more you write, the better you get at it. Do a lot of reading, because the more you read, the better your writing gets, and so on and so forth. So there's lots of material out there if you feel like you would do better that way, if that's a good way for you to improve your skills, then absolutely there's tons of free material out there. But when it comes down to, like with anything else, you just have to do it, and you got to keep doing it, and you have to evaluate your own work and make sure that what you write today is better than yesterday, but not as good as tomorrow.
That's right. And what was I going to say now? Went right out of my head. Hold on, give me a second. Replay.
Dun, dun, dun. I'll distract.
Learning, making sure you use really good grammar and punctuation and all that really makes the difference. And I know this because I can put some people's documentation in front of a client, and some people's documentation has to stay in-house until they get better at it. So it really makes a difference in the jobs that you want to do or the projects that you want to work on. So really work on the grammar. It's something you can do in your spare time, like Kathleen said. Reading and writing, just do it over and over and look for good examples of writing, and then just start to mimic it. And the more you do, the better you'll be at it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's to me, none of these things need to be scary. They're certainly not dark arts. And the good thing about all of them is that it's something that all of us can keep getting better at. So, ask people for help. If you've got people around you, don't take it personally. If somebody says that they were confused by something you wrote, use that as a learning exercise to see, okay, how could I have made this clearer? It's all good.
That's right. It's all a learning experience. Everything we do and say in life, it's all a learning experience.
Absolutely.
And one of those learning experiences is time management.
Well, no, and reaching out for help when you need it. So this is just the time where I jump in and remind everybody that you can always join our mailing list if you want to stay on top of what we're doing and information that we're releasing and all that kind of good stuff. And we talked about asking for help. If you need help, if you have questions, if you're looking for information, you can go and hit our website, thebazone.com, or you can reach out to us on Twitter at the BA Zone there. You can DM us or tweet at us. It's all good. And we are more than happy to help you out because, frankly, that's what we do. And that's how we got to where we are in our career. And so we are now paying it forward and helping other people. Don't be shy. Don't be ashamed. Go ahead, reach out, ask for help. And together we can all help each other get better at what we're doing, which will make our projects better, which makes our business better, which means that we get more money. It all works.
And we'll make you love learning because we do it in a fun way.
It's fun.
We do it in a fun way. All right.
All right. Ready for the last one?
Which, yes, because it's 8:28 and time management. We're always trying to stay on schedule with the show. Go ahead, Kath. You want to take this one?
Okay. So the reality of our life, and anybody out there who's watching who's been doing this job for more than 10 minutes knows this to be a fact, is that we have lots to do and never enough time. And so that is why it is critical that you get very good at managing your own time. Don't expect anybody else to do it for you. You need to be the one managing your time, making sure that you've got the priorities right and that when things change that you shift the priorities as they need to be. But you need to make sure that you are on top of things, that you're keeping track of things. Don't rely on your brain. It's got other things to do. You know, make sure that you create your own to-do list and that you're tracking things, whether you use Trello or a piece of paper, whatever works for you. But it's all part of managing things. And when you are in a situation where you've got a deadline coming and something is holding you up, you know, make sure that you are putting the things in place that will help you get around or over those obstacles. But that you don't let them stop you because then it's going to back everything up around you. So managing your own time is critical.
Yep, exactly. And I use lists. I've always used lists, and I will it just makes my life easier. I write down, you know, what are my meetings. You know, you can print out your schedule, obviously, but then I will put down a list of all the things I need to do that day and try to make sure I get it all in. And you know, some of the things towards the bottom of the list can slip to the next day, and I try to order it that way. But I try to get the most important things done in the beginning of the day, and whatever works for you. But I find that to stay on schedule, you really have to have some type of visual, some type of list, unless you've got, you know, photographic memory, which not most of us don't have.
Right. And
lists,
you know,
and we'll be talking about.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
A part of that too is just making sure that you are able to access the things you need. So a part of time management is also organization, and she can go ahead and laugh because she knows how I live. But when it comes to work, being organized is important. So what I always do is, if I know that, you know, I keep folders for all the different projects I'm working on, and inside of that I have a list, and so every question that comes up that I need to cover in a meeting I put in there, so that way when I go into that meeting I grab that folder, I've got everything in front of me. I don't have to remember it. I don't have to dig for it. If I get a quick, you know, opportunity, somebody's walking down the hallway, I grab it so I can go ask the question because I've got it in front of me. So you got to find your own tips and tricks that work best for you. Another thing I use a lot are alarms. Like I'll set a timer because a lot of times if I get focused on working on something, I lose track of time. But that doesn't work if I have to be in a meeting or I have something else I need to take care of. So I will set a timer so that way my brain doesn't have to keep track of the time. The timer will go off, and even if I curse at it when it goes off, at least now, you know, I'm going to stay on schedule because I didn't spend 2 hours on something that I only had 30 minutes for.
Right. It's especially important, time management, when you actually get into facilitating meetings or elicitation or whatever, gathering requirements. People can go off on a tangent. You have to really maintain and make sure you get everything on your agenda, because sometimes you don't have a lot of time with these folks. So it's really important. And there are tons of little tricks, and some of those tools we'll go over in next week's show. We talk about the 5 top tools for business analysts. So make sure you join us for that show next week. Time management, huge in everyone's life today.
See, and it worked. We're really close to being on time tonight. Yay,
we are close on time. I was hoping for this,
We're 1 minute. That's not too bad because, hey, you know, we've been going like 20 minutes over.
yeah, because we get going and you just can't stop us. But
well, we have a lot
tonight,
of
pretty good
material, so we've tried to get a little more organized. See how this all kind of loops back? It's all coming from reality, folks. We are doing this job with you every day.
That's right.
This is not two talking heads reading books. This is us doing the job.
That's right. And we're learning how to do this live streaming so you can learn how to be a better BA. Or a BA. Yeah, and again, like I said, a lot of these skills are transferable to other positions and other type of jobs. So it's all good.
Students, this is all the same kind of stuff the students are going to need. So your kids who are going off to college, maybe have them sit down and watch this, because it's all the same skills that they're going to need to go off and do well in college.
That's right.
It's all transferable.
Right. Yep, it's great.
That just popped in my head.
So do we have any... Nobody out there? Nobody out there?
No, I mean, there are people out here, but everybody's just saying hi and checking in, and I don't see any questions. Let me just look one more. I didn't check this one in a little bit. But yeah, no, everybody's just hanging out, having a good time, getting some hearts and thumbs up and all that kind of good stuff, which we really appreciate. It's a lot of fun to see that stuff popping up as we do this.
So we love to spend time with you guys. Yeah, we love to spend time with you guys. And again, you have any questions, comments, any ideas for shows, quite a few months in advance, but if it's important enough, we can always juggle around the schedule. So there's all our sites where you can contact us. So it'd be great to hear from you, and thanks again so much for spending your valuable time with us. We really do appreciate it, like Kathleen said, and
absolutely
hope to see you next week.
Yep. So long.
All right, take care, guys.